Hey YouTube, coming at you today with a rather surprising update of my wife's tank. Now, I inoculated this tank twice with first my canister filter sponge, which you can see right there. I squeezed it out into the tank. Then I set the canister filter up and let it start running. Then I cleaned the 100 Whisper hang-on back filter in my 110 into this tank, and it put a very fine layer of mulm sediment all over the entire tank. And then I took my wife to the fish store, my local fish store, to get her some more rocks and something to aquascape the tank with. And of course, I barely got out of that store with my skin. You got to be careful when you get your wife involved with fish keeping. It's rough on the pocketbook. Anyway, she ended up buying lots of rocks, lots of plants, and then lo and behold, to me, she wouldn't leave the store without 6 of these Pracox rainbows. And forgive me if I mispronounce that name. I'm pretty new to rainbows. They're gorgeous little fish, but I'm pretty new to them, so it's going to take me a while to get functional. Now, I wasn't really ready for her to put fish in this tank yet, so of course I removed the wave maker that I had set up to help the current in the tank push all the debris towards the canister filter. So I removed the wave maker and replaced it with a heater. Now I used my old, and when I say old, I mean really old, like 30 plus year old Evo Jaeger. Now I know a lot of people are using the new Evo heaters, but they were Evo Jaeger back then, and they cost a lot. You would pay $30 or $40 in the 80s and the 90s for a Evo Jaeger heater, but they lasted forever. And when I cleaned out that 55, I noticed that one of my old Evo Jaeger heaters was still in the tank, and so I tried it. Unfortunately, after all these years, the thermostat was stuck on it, stuck in the on position, and it began to heat this tank up past the 72, 73 degree range that I wanted for these rainbows. So I had to break down and buy a new heater. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy that that's the brand I had to get, but we'll see how it works out. So, for now, the wife's tank is set up. I'm not sure that this is her final aquascaping choice, but it's what she came up with in the process of setting it up to get it ready for the fish. We had to add more Eco Complete. It probably still needs the rest of that last bag in it. But these little fish are amazing. She was kind of surprised when I told her she had to get 6, because you need any kind of fish that likes to school or shoal, you need to get at least 6 individuals. And these are they're called turquoise rainbow fish. They're called dwarf. And I told her that I would really prefer her to get her rainbows from Gary Lang or Gary Lang stock. I know Lucas carries a lot of Gary Lang stock. I know Lucas buys from people that have bred from Gary Lang's stock, and they're usually a lot more robust and a lot more colorful and a lot more closely related to the actual lineage out of the wild. And those are all good things. They're also all expensive things. But I think maybe I haven't really nailed this down with Lucas yet, but I think we're planning to go to Lucas's house in a month or two, probably 2, because this tank needs to fully mature before shrimp can go in here. And I tried to explain to her that she needed to put the shrimp in first and let them establish themselves before she started adding rainbows. But she just would not leave the store without these fish. And I want to encourage her fish keeping. And so we bought them. And they're in the tank. And they're doing fine. I'm sure she's going to spend way more time. Oh, I know what I was talking about. I'd like to bring her to Lucas's house and let her look at Lucas's rainbow fish and see what she really likes and see if he's willing to part with any of them, of course, and get shrimp and maybe some plants too. She wants to thoroughly overplant this tank. I have, well, she's a botanist, so no wonder she wants to plant them. I have her reading Diana Wallstad's The Ecology of Plants, and I hope that will help her figure out exactly what's going on with plants in the tank and the allelopathy wars that they have with each other, so that she will understand if she densely plants the tank. Now, I gave her 7 Amazon sword plantlets from the mother plant in my tank to use in here, and I also gave her one of the crypts that I got from Dustin when I ordered from Dustin's fish tanks. And she went and bought quite a few plants herself, so we're going to have a pretty wild mix of plants here. And they seem to be doing just fine. The light is still the Marineland LED that came with the tank. And I know that the dwarf rainbows, the praycocks, don't like a lot of light, which makes me kind of worry about my LED lights that I was designing for her to have a highly planted, highly lit tank. But they're doing okay with this weak LED light that came with the tank. But I know the plants aren't going to thrive with this. So that's the update. And it's kind of a shocking update to me. She bought wood. She bought lots of rocks. We still have half a box of rocks because of all the ones she wanted to try. But I think it's turning out to be quite the plant paradise. Good luck, YouTube.